is a chart that uses bars to show comparison between categories of data. The bars can be either horizontal or vertical. Bar graphs with vertical bars are sometimes called vertical bar graphs. A bar graph will have two axes. One axis will describe the types of categories being compared, and the other will have numerical values that represent the values of the data.
William Playfair invented the bar graph at the circa of 1780, and Nicole Erasmus used a bar chart in a 14th century publication, The Latitude of Forms. Isaac Newton is credited with his first writing about the laws of motion. And the first bar graph in history is the Commercial and Political Atlas. And bar graph is also known as a bar chart and a bar diagram.
There are two types of bar graph, vertical and horizontal bar graph. Vertical bar graph usually displays data using vertical bars going up from the bottom, whose length are proportional to quantities they represent. It can be used when one axis cannot have a numerical scale. Vertical bar graphs have also subtypes, namely vertical stack or segmented bar chart and vertical group bar graph.
Second type of bar graph is horizontal bar graph. It represents the data horizontally. It is a graph whose bars are drawn horizontally. The data categories are shown on the vertical axis and the data values are shown on horizontal axis. Horizontal bar graph has also subtypes. It has two subtypes, the horizontal stack or segmented bar graph and horizontal group bar graph.
Common uses of bar graph. If you have a comparative data that you would like to represent through a chart, then a bar chart would be the best option. Just like when you have a classifications of data, just such as businesses, statistics, and researches. For the business, we use bar graph to present informations, such as sales informations, to customers as well as the employees and the other businesses. Bar graph is very important in our daily lives. Why? Because it will help us to estimate our daily expenses.
Disadvantage and advantage of bar graph. The disadvantage is hard to determine in fraction and percent form and require additional written and verbal explanation and use key assumption and can't be easily manipulated to give face impression. And the advantage is best used in understanding and interpreting the collected data and best for comparing different categories and summarize a large data set usual form and can estimate key values.
The importance of bar graph is it makes it easy to compare sets of data between different groups at a glance. The graph represents categories on one axis and a discrete value on the other. The goal of this bar chart is to show the relationship between two axes. Bar charts can also show big changes in data over time.
So here's an example problem or situation that uses bar graph for its data representation. The bar graph given below shows the sales of books in thousand number, which is found on the y-axis, from 6 branches of publishing company during 2 consecutive years, 2000 and 2001, which are found on the x-axis, branch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the blue bars shows the data of the year 2000, while the red ones shows the data of year 2001. So first question, what is the ratio of the total sales of branch 2 for both years to the total sales of branch 4 for both years? So here are the choices. 2:3, 3:5, 4:5, or 7:9. The answer is option D. Here is the explanation. You have to add the data of the branch 2, which is 75 plus 65 equals 140, over the sum of branch 4, which is 85 plus 95 equals 180. And both of these should be reduced by 20, which arrives to 7 over 9, or 7:9. So the answer is letter D. So here's the second question. What is the average sales of all the branches in thousand numbers for the year 2000? Is it 73,000, 80,000, 83,000, or 88,000? So the answer is letter B, 80,000. So it explains that you have to find the sum of all the blue bar data, which represents the data of year 2000. So after finding the sum, you have to divide it by 6 because you're finding the average. So 80 plus 75 plus 95 plus 85 plus 75 plus 70, and you have to divide it by 6, which arrives to 80 or 80,000. So last question. Total sales of branch 6 for both years is what percent of the total sales of branch 3 for both years? Is it 68.54%, 71.11%, 73.17%, or 75.55%? So the answer is option C. So here is the explanation. You have to find first the percentage of branch 6, which is 70 plus 80 equals 150 times 100, over the percentage of branch 3, which is 95 plus 110 equals 205 times 100, and you will arrive to 73.17%. Therefore, the answer is letter C.